Evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. In one of the most dramatic press conferences in recent history, the sitting president of the United States announced today that he has cancer. Now, traditionally, it's the job of the White House physician to update the public on significant changes to the president's health. But in a striking and honestly poignant break with protocol, Joe Biden decided to drop the bracing news himself. Here he is.
That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
I have cancer, Joe Biden said, and I got it from growing up in Delaware. And with that, Biden left the stage, taking no questions about his condition. What kind of cancer does Joe Biden have? What is his long-term prognosis? And is Delaware really that bad? Parts of it are not beautiful, that is true, but can an entire state be a carcinogen? At this point, we can't say. We are hearing word tonight that Biden may have misspoken, rattled no doubt by the stress of his diagnosis. It is likely that, in fact, it's not cancer Joe Biden is battling, but dementia. Simple mistake. We'll get an update from our own in-house physician, Dr. Mark Siegel, in just a moment. So you don't expect the oldest president in American history, right in the middle of a press conference about climate change, to announce, oh, by the way, I've got cancer. But then with Joe Biden, you don't really expect anything he does. He did that today. The president explained that he has cancer because he grew up in Delaware, which apparently is such an awful state. Everyone who lives there gets cancer. Watch.
I just lived up the road. In an apartment complex when we moved to Delaware, and just up the road to a little school I went to, Holy Rosary Grade School. And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Yeah. In Delaware, it rains oil. That's how dirty Delaware is. It's a great state. So the White House said today, apparently, when Joe Biden was announcing he had cancer, he was talking about a previous skin cancer diagnosis. Okay. But it turns out when it rains oil, you don't just get cancer, you get other diseases too, because in April, Joe Biden told the same story about how he grew up in a world where it rained oil, but it gave him asthma, not cancer. Watch this.
And when I went to a small little school, that was about a mile from the apartment complex we lived in, and a little school called Holy Rosary. And you couldn't walk to school because although it was a 4-lane access highway, it was just too dangerous to cross some of the streets. And my mother would get in and when it came it came the fall. This is the God's truth. And you'd get in the car, and there's a little frost on the window, turn on the windshield wiper, there'd be an oil slick. Not a joke. I have asthma, and 80% of the people who, in fact, we grew up with have asthma.
Not a joke. Imagine sitting next to that guy on a plane. Oh, you'd be hoping for a crash. But the question is, and this is a medical question, what is Joe Biden suffering from? Is it cancer? Is it asthma? Is it dementia? Dr. Mark Siegel joins us tonight to assess. Doctor, what do you make of, have you ever seen, by the way, a president just sort of blithely announce in the middle of a speech, oh, I have cancer?
No, I never have. And by the way, the public has a right to know what's going on here. That's for sure.
Right.
Leader of the free world making all these decisions, a mess nationally and internationally. We need to know. Now, President Biden is a famous fabricator, Tucker, meaning that he doesn't always tell the truth, does he? And he has this story he's recycling. Well, asthma, I looked this up, and Delaware has less than a 10% asthma rate. So he's saying oil on the windshield in April gives him and 80% of his friends asthma? That doesn't add up at all, and that's the fabricator. Now we have this story where he's saying he has cancer. Of course, my medical eyebrows go right up, and I don't believe in the word gaffes, by the way. I wonder why he made that mistake, and I think we need to know that. And, of course, the White House walked that back and said he means in the past. Well, Tucker, in the past, the kind of skin cancer he had wasn't melanoma, wasn't life-threatening, and it shouldn't be referred to in that way because the state of Delaware deserves better. They've actually brought their cancer rate way down. They're number 15 in the country in terms of cancer deaths now, much, much better, and they deserve a pat on the back. But what's going on here? Look, he lost his son, Beau Biden, in 2015 to horrible brain cancer. He could be very emotional about that still. But listen, clinically, that would lead you to have cognitive problems, wouldn't it? It would lead you to have disorientation, confusion, problems with thinking and executive function. And that's what I'm concerned about here. This president had 2 aneurysms clipped surgically. He had a bleed in the brain in 1988. He has an unusual heart rhythm. Not so unusual, but he has an irregular heart rhythm. And we heard last year on his physical that he has an irregular stiff gait. His gait is stiff. So where's the cognitive testing? Again, where's the neurological testing? I don't think he thinks he has cancer, but I do think that he made a fumble there that could mean something much, much more important. And I and the American public want to know, Tucker.
I got to say just quickly, he's told us that Delaware gave him asthma and cancer, and yet he goes back to Delaware every weekend. Isn't that kind of like continuing to smoke Camels when you get emphysema? Like, that seems crazy to me. He should avoid Delaware, no?
Yeah, and Delaware should avoid him if he keeps bashing them like that. He should be proud of the state. If he falls off a bicycle there, too, he's going to blame the pavement next.
Good point. Dr. Mark Siegel, thanks so much for that.